Hello, and welcome to By Moonlight, where it's not a phase to put a bunch of books in a blender and make it a show.
Whee!
This week, we are reviewing episodes 7 and 8 of Shadow and Bone, which also happen to be the final episodes of Season 2.
Wow! We made it. We did it.
It's surprising that it took us this long. I feel like there was a lot that happened. So I feel, as much as I'm convinced myself that this show only started a month ago, it feels like years ago.
It does, yeah.
Several years. So, Caitlin, tell us a little bit about what happened in this last 2 episodes.
Cool, I will do my best. So, grappling with the fact that she may have to kill her best friend / lover in order to tear down the fold once and for all, Alina attempts to work out a plan of attack against the Darkling and his Grisha. David believes that he may have a solution to make an amplifier out of one of Mal's finger bones to avoid killing him, but before he can do so, the Darkling expands the fold, unleashing his shadow monsters upon everyone. Nikolai, Tamar, Nadia, and Adric are all under attack by the Darkling's Grisha, but luckily, because they love a dramatic entrance, the Crows and Tolia show up and save the day. And because the Shadow and Bone characters still can't catch a break, Alina and Mal are also being attacked by the Shadow monsters, but luckily, Inej takes after her Crow compatriots and shows up at the last minute and saves the day with the shadow-killing sword that she acquired from last episode. They, along with Zoya and Nina, who are also there too, by the way, head for the heart of the fold to tear it down. Alina and Mal see this as a great opportunity to kiss with a light show in the background, and the Darkling's like, how touching, now for an evil monologue, and says some stuff and then attempts to use the cut. Alina fires back with her own version of the cut, and you guessed it, cuts the Darkling, stalling him for as long as the plot allows. And unfortunately, the Darkling did in fact hit Mal with his own cut, forcing Alina to kill Mal so she can tear down the fold. She does so in like 2 seconds and then brings Mal back with Merzos, which, much like the choices made this season, is a big no-no.
So after all of this takes place, Caitlin, we have a little bit of a parting of the ways for the Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows characters. So Mal, who feels like he's lost his purpose after losing his amplifier powers, is handed the reins of Nikolai's ship as the new Sturmhond. He's joined by the twins and Inej, who, despite Kaz's best, but maybe like worst efforts, will not be staying in Ketterdam. Kaz promises to protect Nina in the meantime if she joins the Crows and presents all the Crows with their next big mission, which is putting a lid on Jirda Param, a drug that is threatening the livelihoods of Grisha across the globe. Speaking of Jirda, a Fjorden Grisha shows up to Nikolai's coronation and kills everyone whilst under the influence of the powerful drug, but not before Alina uses the cut on her. That's it. That's the show. Yay! Oh, and then also we burnt the Darkling's body because...
Oh, like, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. And David's dead now.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I actually signed an NDA. I cannot speak about that at all. Like, I refuse to. But it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
So, who are you again?
I'm Caitlin, and the sun is out, which means everyone needs to remember to wear their sunscreen.
Love that. I'm Emberlyn, and here's my reminder to wear your sunscreen regardless so you never age. Anti-aging rhetoric here on the pod today. Never age.
Never age
ever.
Wearing sunscreen.
Look the same forever for the rest of your life. I do actually swear by this, though. Like, I think the whole anti-aging thing is crazy. Like, I don't really agree with it. Like, just don't be afraid to have wrinkles. But I will say, sunscreen all the time, no matter the weather, does slow the passage of time. And I feel like I look a million times less broken down and hobbled by the world than I actually am because I wear sunscreen all the time. And you should wear sunscreen all the time because even though the sun is not technically always out, like it's always there watching you. Yeah. So
don't get skin
keep
cancer.
An eye out.
It's scary.
Don't get skin cancer. And don't age at all. So, Caitlin, was there a specific moment in this last 2 episodes that hooked you?
No. Not a one. I mean, I was already in it, you know, but it was more like by this point, I was just like, all right, what are you going to do? What's gonna happen now?
Yeah. What could possibly happen next?
What could possibly happen next? I did, in fact, write down a question, which is, why is Mal having a connection with the Darkling now? Where did that come from?
I feel like it would have made more sense if he had before, but he didn't.
Because you can't say, oh, it's because they share a bloodline. They have this entire time. We just knew about it.
That's such a great point. Wow. Weird.
Yeah.
Spooky.
When that happened, I was like, huh?
It feels like they just kind of throw a lot of random things in there these days just for the sake of having additional scenes, which is crazy because I would argue, and maybe this is controversial, they have enough scenes. Like, there's no need to add more. Like, we got it, you know? It's like, enough. Oh god, that's enough slices is all I'm trying to say, you know? So, same here. I feel like maybe I've kind of given myself the ick when it comes to this show.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard for me to stay invested. Like, it took me until, like, today to watch episode 7 and 8. I wasn't excited about them. I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm so excited for my show. I was just like, here comes the thing I have to do, you know?
Yeah, yep.
And I feel bad saying that, but it just, like, this is not working for me anymore. Like, it's taking me out of the Shadow and Bone universe in a way that I wasn't expecting to be taken out of that space this year. Like, I was expecting, and I know expectations are low, it's a Netflix show, to kind of be like, woo, this is fun, at least, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just feeling disheartened a little bit.
Yeah.
But on that note, we mentioned about the Darkling Caitlin. I will say, I think the way they're trying to incorporate him into this show is really messy.
Yeah.
Like, I have no sense of what is going on in his timeline, and I don't really know what his purpose is anymore. And I feel like this whole interaction with Mal in the very beginning kind of cemented that for me, because I don't really get it. Like, I don't what is he doing? I mean, I know that he's plotting, but that's all he really does. He just plots and broods. Like, nothing else really happens. And then we get the occasional scene where it's just like, it's literally just like Ben Barnes, like, oh, I'm here.
And sometimes he coughs.
Yes. I'm dying. I'm here. You know, it's like, okay, like, and what of it? Like, you know?
See, that's why I wish in the beginning he was with Nikolai, because that's how we meet Nikolai in the book, is he seems to be working with the Darkling, but then it turns out, no, he's not. It's a whole thing. Then they mutiny, blah, 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 and it's really cool. And I feel like that almost would, like, give more to Nikolai's character, too, because I feel like a lot of the times it was just like, oh, yeah, and he's here to say princely things, and now he's a king, and it's just But
did he even say princely things?
I don't know.
I have more to say about that, but like, I don't even, again, like, I don't know, I don't think they did a great job incorporating his character into this series very well either. I'm mad.
I'm mad.
I'm kind of angry. I'm feeling a little wrong.
You know, I do have to say, we are both wearing black today. We did not coordinate, but I think we both are kind of in mourning over what could have been.
It is like a funeral. Yeah.
No mourners.
They burned the Darkling's body. I have taken this whole entire show, I've put it on a pyre, and I've said, light up. So.
Light it up. So, did you have any favorite quotes from these 2 episodes, despite how we felt?
Yeah, there were a couple that stuck with me. When Mal and Alina and Nikolai are talking, and Nikolai says, "Fate be damned, there is a long life ahead. An ordinary life full of ordinary things, if love can ever be called that." I like that. It was a nice little callback to the book. Mm-hmm. And Mal and Melina's ordinary life at the end of Ruin and Rising. Yeah. So loved that. Don't know. That was like the only bit from that end of the book. The end of the book, which I really, really loved, and was like really looking forward to. But I guess we're just not gonna get. But I liked that a lot. Yeah. I liked that callback. I like when Wyland throws a grenade at one of the Nichevoya and explodes, and it kind of like falls apart. And Jesper goes, "Yes, my man.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
so cute.
we don't really actually have a label yet, and I was like, yeah, that's my man. Like, good for you. At the very end, and I like this, Jesper, I feel like infamously has a lot of like fourth wall breaking lines where he's kind of like, they should write a book about us, which is like, okay. But where he's like, what should they call us? And he goes, five of and then it just like completely like breaks off. And I think it'd be really cool if for seasons down the line, if there are any, if he finally gets to say Six of Crows. Like,
that'd be nice.
I think that would actually be kind of funny and cute.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the bangers, the very end lines between Kaz and Inej. Stay in Ketterdam, stay with me.
Yep.
And, of course, I want you. And how will you have me? Gloves on, fully clothed, and your head turned so our lips never touched. I will have you without your armor, Kazbrecker, or I will not have you at all. Screaming, banging my feet on the table. For free?
For free?
Sacrificing my firstborn, leaping back into the closet, coming back out again, running around, doing a drag bit as, I don't know, Voldemort, ew. Doing a drag bit as Joanne Rowling, taking HBO Access money. It's getting political, but you know what I mean. Like, this was really big. Like, I really wanted this. I'm glad I got it. It was nice. Also made me very, very angry, and I'll talk about that a little bit too. Everything made me irrationally angry today. I don't know if it's the heat here, but I was just like, every time something happened, I'd be like, what is this? What are you doing?
I feel like this season is like so much of like, oh, I love this scene so much, but I hate the context of which I'm seeing it in. Like, it's just part of me really enjoys this season because some of it is really fun, and there are some scenes where I'm like, that was really cool. It was so cool to see. But as a whole, in context, I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much.
I mean, like, on paper, it all looks really good. Yeah. Literally
like, the books on paper.
Are great. But the execution, I think, is just really muddled. And I'll dive into my value about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But what were your favorite quotes from this last two episodes, Caitlin?
The first one that stuck out to me was when Mal, upon seeing the Darkling, he says, "I'm not having any of this, whatever this is," because I felt that about the show. Yeah. Like, I'm not having this. Especially at the very end, I was just like, whatever this is, I'm not having it.
I'm not interested. Thanks.
I'm good. Give me my Six of Crows spinoff, but I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
I really did like when Mal said to the Darkling, "You will die alone, but I will die in her arms." I'm like, ooh. I thought that was a banger. Like, if you're gonna die, but you can like be like, yeah, well, my death's gonna be better than yours. Suck it, dude. Like, I really, really liked it. I also liked a line from Kaz when he says, "Well, if you die, we don't get paid," because I'm like, yeah, that's Kaz. I love that very much. But that was about it for me. So. Yeah.
So, Caitlin, what song would you play to forget all of this?
All of my Spotify playlists playing at once.
Just loud noise.
Yeah. Just a lot of noise. Just gotta drown it all out.
Yeah.
No, but I think if I had to pick any song, the first one that came into my head when I think of like rage songs, is "You Oughta Know" by Alanis Morissette. I just really like that song, not because it really applies to anything that happened in the show or applies to forgetting, but it's just a really good like FU song, and you ought to know.
That's spiteful. I respect that.
Yeah, thank you. How about you?
I said the Pina Colada song because I just kind of feel like if I'm in a rough and tumble mood, the Pina Colada song is going to cheer me up, you know? It's got a great storyline, you know? These two people, they're accidentally cheating on each other with themselves. It's kind of hilarious. It's very catchy. It's a great song. Like, how could I be sad? How could I remember such media crimes when I'm listening to the Pina Colada song, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, what character would you lock in a freezer to protect at all costs? Was it a freezer or an elevator?
I don't know.
It was a little.
If it was fucking lighter, if they would just maybe turn the lighting up on all of their cameras, and I'd be able to fucking tell you. But
yeah,
when I watch the show, it's literally like playing Manhunt in like the middle of the night with all of your friends, and when you're in 5th grade.
Ooh,
like
times.
I don't know
yeah.
what. I don't know. But actually, and ironically, because who did get locked in a freezer or elevator or whatever the fuck. But Jenya, Daisy Head acts.
Yeah.
So I feel like Daisy Head's kind of carrying the show right now because like while everybody else is getting blocking, like, okay, go over here and do this, go over here and do that, and even she's getting some weird blocking. She's also like, I'm gonna go in this room. This door's gonna get locked at me, and I'm just gonna scream bloody murder. And then when I find David's ring designed for me, I'm gonna sob and, like, I don't know, put her in Game of Thrones or something. I don't know. Like, she's fab. She deserves the world.
So good.
Yeah. She's doing the most. Yeah. She's doing the absolute most, and I respect that. Like, I need everyone to be following her lead. And when I say everybody, I mean Netflix. All my love to her. How about you?
Same answer. I feel like amidst like the chaos that was happening with the Crows storyline and the chaos that's happening with the Shadow and Bone storyline, Jenya and David had like their own smaller, sometimes a little bit more interesting story. Like if I could just get like a whole like episode on just the two of them, it would be quieter but like all the more emotional, because I feel like her acting was so incredible. Like she had me like tearing up, especially when she found the ring. That was so much. And just her screams, and again, like I've said it before, but she's just constantly having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, and she's always crying, but she does it so like beautifully. And then her screams are just like when she's screaming David's name as she's going down, like
she's doing
tore my heart out
the most.
Yeah, she wants an Emmy, and she should get it. So, because her acting was just so, it was like almost too good for this show.
Like
for this season.
They overachiever in the class. I respect it, aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a character you would do Merzost on?
Not a character, but I would love to know what's going on with the writers. I would love to have been a fly on the wall for when they were like storyboarding this season.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like they opened up all of the books and they just like made a scrapbook of all of their favorite scenes and said, the audience loved this scene, so let's put that in there, and the audience cried at this scene, so we'll put that in there, and let's just put all of the audience favorite scenes so we can pander to them and put it all in a blender and make a season.
All of that, I guess. Yeah. Like everything.
I just want to, like, I get you have all these books at your disposal, and also I get that you really just want your Six of Crows show. I get it. So do I. But, like, I still feel like they could have ended the show where Ruin and Rising ended, and they still could have hinted at stuff that happens in King of Scars. They still could have hinted at stuff that happens in the Crows duology. They could have done all of that, but better.
Yeah, agreed. I guess likewise, everything that you just said. I don't feel like there are any particular, like, there are no good, just because of, I think, the Darkling's execution, there are very few good villains in this show. Like, there's no one that I'm walking away from being like, oh my god, I hate that guy, you know? Like, there are shows where they'll give you a villain and it's like, oh my god. Like, I don't know, I'm rewatching Succession right now. Logan Roy, I mean, he's a very well portrayed, but also terrifying, and like, I feel like we're all kind of quietly wishing death on him. But I, at the same time, I guess, like, yeah, nobody that I particularly walked away from having strong feelings about in terms of characters, but I do have strong feelings about what the writers have done. I agree with you that it would be nice to be a fly on the wall in those meetings. I'd like to know what the intentions were behind including a lot of these scenes and behind the storyboarding that was done, because it just wasn't cohesive at all.
I would love to know what Leigh Bardugo thinks of the season. If I could get like her uncensored, no consequences opinion on the show, I just wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder about that too, because I feel like the story that Leigh tells is not only cohesive in, you know, the duology, the trilogy and the two duologies. I keep forgetting there's like a million books that she has, but I can imagine it's very difficult to be a creator and have your work picked up to be, I guess, rethought into another medium, because you lose a lot of creative freedom in that process, like legally, technically. And I guess I would wonder if that was something that was really difficult for her. I wonder if she struggled a lot this past season just because of some of the creative changes that were made, or I wonder if she was completely on board. I have kind of a hard time, I don't want to speak for Leigh Bardugo, I don't know her personally, but
yeah,
I have a hard time believing she would have been, because just as somebody who has like creative outlets, I can't imagine giving that work away to somebody and them like scrambling it into this interpretation. Like,
yeah,
it's
if I were an author, I would want to have like full control over the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Which never happens, but even so, it tastes so bitter, you know, like it's not great. It's not a great adaptation. Is kind of like my overarching thesis for this episode of our pod, is like, I'm walking away from this feeling like maybe they could have been more thoughtful.
Yeah. So did you have any peaks from these two episodes? I know we're complaining a lot, but was there anything that you liked?
Yeah, you mentioned last episode that it was nice to see characters together that we wouldn't normally see. And even though Nadia and Tamar are a thing in the book, it was just nice to see them early on and like have them be together. 'Cause I totally forgot about their relationship in the later duology, and so to see that was like, oh, cool, there they are, you know. At the same time, I think everything I'm probably going to compliment, like with regards to like things happening that I really liked, I might also have some complaints that are like, but it was too soon. But needless to say, I really liked seeing them together. It was like a bright spot for me in the first episode of this that we're looking at, episode 7. Jesper fighting with goth Zooey Deschanel was kind of fun and exciting. I don't know who that is. Yeah. I listen, there's a lot going on. I don't know if this is the time to be introducing new characters, but I'm still not really certain who that was.
What was her name? Frugy? I keep wanting to call her Fuchsia, but I also kept calling her Fringe.
Fringe, yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't know who that was.
I don't know if her character was necessary.
No, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, I don't think this is like, you have again, one of the big critiques is like, there's a lot going on, and then to just like add some other minor character into that, I don't know if that's productive at this point. I'm very relieved, however, that they kind of I felt like Mal's death scene really worked for me. And I don't know if it worked for me because I watched it and I just had like momentary, like tears, just seeing them talk to each other. And I mean, like, yeah, that specific moment right before she stabs him, I really like that, because that is a scene that in the book really messed with me. Like,
yeah, same.
I do think, again, like, these are things I would have loved even more if they'd been slowed down. Zoya, that's all. That's my next one. I forget.
Zoya.
I forget the scene where it flashbacks right before the Darkling dies. Weird choice, once again. But it flashes back right before the Darkling dies to him kissing Alina. And I forgot this scene, and I just want to say, brief thirst trap. When she kisses him, and he's already taller than her, and then he stands up to his full height.
Oh, yeah. Call me.
Help! Oh my god! Like,
when, like, the way she's like looking at him, then she goes,
yeah.
I was like, oh.
I'm gonna.
I don't even ship them, but I was like,
I'm
okay.
Throw up. Where do I find his number? Like, what dark web website do I have to get on to find Ben Barnes' information? Like, where is he? I want him. Ben
Barnes, we are in your DMs.
Yeah, hello. Seeing Inej hanging from the ropes on the ship at the very end was adorable. Yeah. Give her everything. Like, she's everything. She deserves the most. Like, Kaz Brekker, give her own ship challenge. Just delicious. And then finally, and I don't know why we're bringing him in right now, because I feel like I would have loved to see him about 20 episodes ago. But the Apparat, they brought him in. Love him.
What a stinky little guy.
Love my stinky little guy. They did him so correct, Caitlin. Like, he looks like he is made of decay, and I'm really pleased about that.
I knew you were gonna love that.
I'm so pleased. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where we go from here with him, but
I don't know why now he decided to show up.
I know.
When he showed up, I was like, hey. It's funny because when I was first watching it, like, my dad and I were talking. He's just like, where's the Apparat? Like, where has he been? Yeah. And then he shows up for, like, 2 seconds in the last episode. And I was like, hey, there he is.
Yeah, like,
and our crusty little guy.
And also the way it works, where it's like, the door's open, he just stands there. I'm like, okay, he's here. He's not even going to walk into the room. He just goes,
nah.
I'm like, all right.
That's all you need to know.
Okay.
That's an Apparat entrance right there.
Stinky little guy. How about you, Caitlin? What were your peaks from this last couple episodes?
I really enjoyed the fight scenes. Like, all season. Every fight scene was chef's kiss. I love it. I love it so much. I thought specifically, like, Tolia's fight scene, because it was one long shot. The entire sequence was so cool. And it's just the way that, like, I don't know, the way it was choreographed was so good. Like, halfway through, he finally takes out his sword, just like the way he does it. It's like he was like almost like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like he was like pinned up against someone and then he grabs it like mid everything else. I just thought it was so cool the way it was all done. I had no attention span for any of it, but then that scene I was like, oh,
yeah.
Yes. You know, yes. Like I was there. I also wasn't expecting a lot of it to be, like, a lot of the fight scenes to be as gory as they were. Like, we saw people just straight up get shot in the head.
What's-her-face got shot in the neck? I was like,
I know!
Okay.
I gasped.
Oh.
I was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, I guess so. Jesper and his guns. Hello? Again, call me. Like, anytime he twirls his guns, anytime he's using them, he has so much, like, swagger and confidence that it's just, he's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And, like, I have a couple, like, I'll talk about it in a second. I have a couple gripes with it, but I do love how he used his buttons and just took off evil Zooey Deschanel's fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. Like, when she pulls out her hand and her fingers are just gone, I was like, ah!
Who's that girl? It's Jess.
That's really funny. Oh my goodness. What a quirky little side character she was. And again, I also really liked Mal's ending a lot. I thought it was, like, as much as, like, I love the ending of Ruin Rising, of, like, him and Alina being together and everything, I did kind of like us seeing the after effects of him losing his tracker abilities and just, like, the conflict within him of, like, well, now what? Like, now who am I? I kind of, like, even if it's just, like, no, you can still, like, be in love with Alina and you can still be with her, like, but I like the whole question of, like, well, are we together just because of that power? Or, like, is this, like, because, like, even if, like, you do love each other, which they both clearly do, I still thought it was, like, a really cool, like, the question needs to be asked, and the fact that he was, like, so, like, distraught over it, of, like, it, like, what has my entire life been? Like, I thought I had a purpose and it was you, but, like, now it's gone. Now I don't know what to do with my life, and, like, this ability that I've had my entire life is just gone. It's like, that's got to be so hard. And so to see that struggle, and he was so distraught by everything, I thought it was really cool and really interesting. I also am kind of okay with him being Sturmhond. I thought that was cool. Like, the jacket looks like he put on, like, his dad's coat from, like, like a theater closet or something. I don't know. The coat wasn't working for me on Mal. It looked like he was playing dress up. And I wasn't here for it. But I'm kind of okay with him taking up the Sturmhond name as a way to, like, find himself in a way. So, like, even though it did differ from the book, I was okay with it. Because I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I feel like cool, you're giving Mal more character than just being with Alina. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
So, what were your valleys? Get into it.
So, coming back to what we were talking about earlier, I do feel like they really did Nikolai dirty this season. Like, he really was an afterthought, I feel like, in every episode. I feel like they really botched his character from the books. And I don't have a problem with the actor that's playing him, to be fair, but I don't... Like, he's so much quippier and just so much more, like, charming in the books, and I feel like they didn't really give him room to shine this season. Arguably, I don't think they gave a lot of people room to shine because they tried to do too much at once. But this was a character I was really excited for, and I feel like he kind of ended up taking a back seat in a way that I just didn't think worked. So I guess I'm coming away from that just feeling very, like, off-put by the whole experience. Like, and I also just felt like a lot of what his actual lines, like, a lot of the writing for his actual lines didn't land for me. And I don't know if that's because of the actor or what, but I just was just like, okay, he's here, and she's so beautiful, she's amazing, and he's there as well. And
he's
TikTok
Ken.
Sound. Yeah. You know, it was very, and he's Ken, you know, so.
Yeah.
I'm once again asking for some attention to lighting. I couldn't see anything this last two episodes. I was literally just, like, squinting at my computer screen, just trying to, like, see specific details in the background. I was like, okay, all right. I'm very confused about David's death. Like, overall, I'll just say it shouldn't have happened. Like, their relationship spans years. Like, it was, like, really, really hard for me to grasp that they did this, and that it also seemed absolutely pointless. Like, the fact that he locks her in this room, and then what? Just dies? Like, why didn't he go in there with her? I don't understand. Like, did I miss something? Like, I don't get it.
It's
like,
another Titanic situation. There was room for both of them.
Yeah, like, it just felt like it didn't make any sense to me that, and maybe he was trying to distract this thing from getting to her, but still, like, it doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make sense.
And it's like that their relationship, it's such a big part of the later books. So for them to just be like, kind of make him this, like, 2-season character where all of his significance was contained in this 8 episodes where he builds his relationship with Genya is so upsetting. Like, his character is so much more important than that. And it also just doesn't read well, because when he does die, I mean, it's sad. I'm sad. Like, he was making her this beautiful design for an engagement ring. Arguably, maybe not so beautiful. It kind of looked like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. But, I'm nitpicking now. All I'm saying is, like, I feel like they took somebody who plays such a huge role in the book and they made them obsolete, and, like, that kind of bums me out. Like, not cool.
Yeah. And also just the fact that he seemed to be, like, a more of a major character this season, and his death isn't even on screen.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
like, confusing. Like, are they setting us up for him to just, like, reappear again? Probably.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I was going to say, well, Corpser didn't happen like I usually do, but, like, I feel like there's no way that he survived it, and if he did survive, we would have seen him again.
Yeah.
You know? And because too much time passed after it to be like, oh, hey, I'm over here. you know? So I didn't like it. And again, like you're saying, it was completely pointless. And because it was one of my valleys too, because there was no reason for him to stay behind, because he was he stood no chance against the Nichevoya, and he could have easily gotten in there with her. I don't know where she was going. I don't know what that was supposed to do for either of them.
Yeah.
He could have sealed the door from inside if that's what he was worried about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was stupid and dumb.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And then, like, this is kind of another complaint I have, which is, like, the blocking is so bad for this show. Like, it's like so awkward. Like, everybody looks so taut, and like they're just being told to walk certain ways. Like, in the scene where they bring Mal back to life, like, there's a part where it's kind of zoomed out, and it's like Zoya, Nina, Inej, Alina, and Mal, and maybe Nina is helping Mal. I can't really remember what's happening, but Zoya just kind of like walks over and then kind of walks back a little bit, and it's just like, it's giving Sims. Like, who's blocking these scenes? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It feels like nobody is moving with intention, and it kind of takes me out of what I'm watching. I'm also, speaking of this scene with Mal dying, before all that happens, I am very confused about the Darkling's death. Like, it felt, and you mentioned last episode, correctly, that it feels like they've taken a lot of the rage, and like they've taken kind of a lot of the malignance out of his character. Like, he's no longer this evil force so much as he is like Ben Barnes, who is like cute and just like troubled, and like it just doesn't work. Like, at the very end, it's like the caption on my screen as he's dying read, "Sentimental music playing." And
yeah. I saw that too.
No, like, that's not what this is. That I don't know who gave you the idea that's what this is. Like, even if he is a hottie McTottie, his death is supposed to be epic. Like, his death is supposed to be the culmination of all of Alina's trauma after learning she was a Grisha and everything that he's put her through. And instead it was like, "I loved you once, thirst trap, and I died." Sympathetic music playing, birds chirping. Like, okay.
Birds chirping, yeah.
I don't get it, you know? There's just so much that I don't get. That's what I'm learning. There's so much that I don't get. Oh, and then just one more thing on Nikolai. I don't really understand his transition to the monster. It's, like, confusing to me because it's not, I mean, my complaint is it's not like what it was in the books, but that's it, actually. It's just, I just wanted more for Nikolai, like, justice for Nikolai. And then last but not least, this is actually my biggest fally. And this is what makes it really hard for me to forgive things and have fun with the show. I am weeping for Kanej. They deserved
I know.
so much better. I mean, give me the stupid fucking Six of Crows spinoff. Just give it to me. Like, I can forgive all of this if you just give me my goddamn properly executed ice court scheme. Like,
yep.
I'm delusional. I'm gonna be so sick. Like, this, I actually started crying after the Kanej scene at the very end.
Did you really?
And not even because I was happy. I was just like, why did you guys? Like, you could have had so much more. Like, this is so unfair. Like, these two characters, they're so important. Like, their arc from being touch averse to becoming closer, it's so important. And it was just like an afterthought to what? I don't know. But, like, whatever else was happening this season, and it just, that really aggravates me. Like, and then also they end the season apart, and that wouldn't bother me, except I don't know if we're going to get a third season of the show. So the thought that they could end this show with them both being apart and never have them come back together in the show.
Cut. I don't want it.
Why would you do that to me? I'm like,
why are they apart anyway? Like, why? I get it. I know why in the show, why she's with the others and they're hunting slaver ships and stuff. Like, I get why, but
Slay
why?
Girl. But why? Like,
but why?
Why? Like, it's so sad because if this were regular, if they did everything right and the season ended that way, I'd be like, okay, good, like, great, fine. Because I'd be expecting another season. But I think because of the mixed reviews I've heard about this season, and, like, how, like, Six of Crows as a spinoff is only a hypothetical, the possibility that we could end this way. Like,
it's upsetting.
I'm like sweating. Like, where's my fan? What the fuck, you know? Like, oh my God, I gotta take out my patriotic fan for this. I'm like, why would they do this to me? I feel personally victimized, you know?
Because they don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
You go.
Okay, well, just because you reminded me about the whole Nikolai thing, I kind of have a valley with like how things are done this season as far as like physical changes don't seem as dramatic as they should be, you know? Yeah. Like, I feel like Netflix too, like in a lot of their shows, it's just like they're scarred but in a hot way, you know? And it is just like, I'm not saying that like you can't look good if you're scarred, like that's not true at all, but like it's just like with Jenya, I feel like they could have been way more involved like with her, because like the way I read it, like most of her face is all messed up. She loses an eyeball. I didn't even know they actually blinded her until like that you can kind of see her one eye is foggy and then she has an eye patch. I'm like, okay, so she is blind in that eye, okay. But like I couldn't, again, maybe it's because of the lighting, but also because she was covering her like half of her face the entire time, I couldn't tell what she was covering. And I'm just like I just feel like they did more with, I wish they did more with that. And then with Nikolai, I hate that it's just you see some black scarring on his shoulder and he didn't turn into one of the shadow monsters, or like it was a Volcra or something that he turned into, but it was like a shadow monster nonetheless. Do you know how terrifying that would be to see on screen? Do you know how terrifying that was to read in the book? Because it was scary. I thought he died, and I feel like that would have added so much to him. I feel like if you made people care about his character and then did that to him, people would be freaking out. And then show that at the end, like, he is eventually okay, but there are effects, because the whole part of King of Scars is that he has this, like, black scarring on his hand, and that's why they call him the King of Scars, blah, 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 and it's just a whole other thing. But for him to just see himself as, like, a shadow monster in the mirror, nuh-uh. That just tells me you're being lazy with your VFX department, and you're not giving them enough budget to be able to turn him into a Volcra, like you should have been. Yeah. And it would have been way cooler. Yeah. And it just doesn't... it doesn't work for me in this. I try to separate a bit sometimes. I clearly couldn't at all this season, because I'm just like, this didn't happen in the books. What the heck? You know? But book lover Caitlin was not sure how to feel about Jesper being totally okay with killing another Grisha, or like hurting another Grisha, because if I remember correctly, there was like a whole thing about that. Yeah. In Six of Crows, where he does something very similar in the book, and he's like, oh my god, I just killed one of my own, and it's like a whole thing for him, and he was like a little troubled by it, and he still wasn't completely okay or comfortable with expressing that part of himself yet. It seems like that was a pretty quick turnaround for him to be like, yeah, I'm a Grisha, which, like, I want him to be proud of it. I want him to be able to grow in that way, but I feel like it's more interesting as a story to be like, okay, why does he feel that way? Because you know something happened with his mom, but like you don't get that full story completely as to what she did, and it's just, I don't know. I felt a little weird about it. I mean, it was really cool. Don't get me wrong. I thought that was awesome, but at the same time, I'm like, but should he be like super chill about this? Yeah, you know?
Yeah. Especially because like Jesper's transition to being open about being a Grisha is, at least in the literature, it could either be read as queer-coded, or it could be read as, like, kind of healing from generational trauma. And all of those things get erased when you erase his journey to become comfortable as a Grisha. Yeah. Yeah. It was just, didn't completely sit right with me. Yeah.
And then, also, they took down the Shadowfold way too quick. Yeah. And also, I feel like it all could have been in one episode. Like, to come back for the 8th episode and for, like, 2 minutes to go by in the Shadowfold and for it to be over. It's just like, huh? what was all that? And then, like, what's all this then? And,
Right.
I don't know, it was such a bigger battle in the book because everybody's in the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is there. And in this one, it was just Mal, Alina, the Darkling, Zoya, Nina, and Inej.
Who were not even there in the book.
Who were, like, two of them weren't even there in the book because they didn't exist yet. And then, it just, I don't know, it seemed so, like, anticlimactic. Like, we had this whole thing about taking down the fold, and then you do it in, like, a minute, and there's only, like, a couple witnesses. Yeah. 2 of which aren't even in the original books when this happens. It was a bigger deal in the books. And, again, maybe it hits harder because it happens at the end of a 3rd book. So you've gone through 3 books with all of this, like, leading up to it. But I still feel like it should have been a more theatrical, like, final battle between all of them. Like, you can put all of the rest of it, because, like, I liked what they did in the end of the 1st season. Like, the crows were there, too. Like, you had, everyone was there on the ship fighting the Darkling and his people. And, like, I was like, that was cool. I want that again, but on a bigger scale for your 2nd season, especially if it's for taking down the fold. Yeah. But, I don't know. It was too quick.
It really does make me wonder what we lose when the writers chose, what we lost rather, when the writers chose not to stick with the original ending. I mean, the apparatus coming in now, okay. Does it also mean that some of the Sun soldiers are going to be significant now? Like, I don't know. I wonder about the choice to continue Mal and Alina's story past this point, just given the sequencing of everything. But, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there was the line where he's just like, if my path leads me back to you, then yay. Which I'm sure, like, if we do get a 3rd season, or if they do continue the Shadow and Bone side of things, I'm sure we'll see them come back to each other. Now that Alina's in her evil era. But
yeah, I guess. It's time for us to look at our tier list and make a decision about where these last 2 episodes
I wonder where it's going to go.
Caitlin, what are our tiers?
Our tiers are, at the very tippy top, we have wee! So we're having a great time. The 2nd tier is nice. The neutral tier is, I'm just here for a good time. The 2nd from the bottom is, I guess. And then the very bottom of our tier, we have, right, what's all this then?
Where are you landing?
I am putting these last 2 episodes at, right, what's all this then? Because I don't know what this is. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. I'm starting to wonder how it is, but I just, at this point, if you can promise me, I mean, I want it no matter what, but, like, if you can promise me that you're going to do the Ice Court Heist justice, just give me the Six of Crows spinoff. That's all I want. That's what I'm here for. I will watch your damn show if it gives me my Six of Crows spinoff, because at the end of the day, this is what the majority cares about. You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sad that the Shadow and Bone story kind of gets sidelined for it, but as a Six of Crows lover, that's all I want. Personally, that's all I want. Give it to me. Shadow and Bone season 2. What's all this then? I'm out. What about you?
I think I'm gonna also ask respectfully, Roy, what's all this then? I think it's kind of upsetting that you have, like, a magnificent cast. And when I say magnificent, I mean the casting announcement was, like, exhilarating for me. I thought that they really did a good job of choosing who would be taking on these roles, and it felt pretty much all of the time like the characters were coming right off the page.
I agree. The casting is probably one of the best casted shows I've seen.
And yet, the writing, the storyboarding, and direction was so poorly executed. I feel like this could have really been a hit, like, and they kind of blew it and tried to do too much in a very little amount of time, and it just didn't work. So I want to be clear, like, if you enjoyed the season and you came away from it feeling satisfied. Like that my feelings are all, you know, yay, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Good.
If people enjoy this season, I'm happy.
but-
I almost feel like reading the books. If I feel like if we didn't read the books, we would have loved it.
I don't even know if that's true. I'm going to disagree, because I do think, regardless of whether I read the books, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, Vishwas, who hasn't read the books, has been present with me for a lot of these episodes, and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. Like,
oh, no.
No idea. Not a clue. And I feel like because this series tried to do so much using the book content, that if you haven't read the books, then maybe there are things you're probably not really gonna get. And I feel like you have to have a hyper aware understanding of the books in order to even wrap your head around what happened this season, and yet it still didn't work. And I don't say, like, I feel bad saying this, because I really wanted to come away from this season feeling like they did justice for, you know, the books. And in actuality, I kind of am coming away feeling like sitting in a dark room for a couple of days and, you know, just thinking about it. Or pushing it down into a little box inside me and compartmentalizing it and never talking about it again. You know?
Yeah.
Do you think you would watch a third season? Not, and I'm saying, obviously we'd all watch a Six of Crows spinoff, but do you think you would watch a third season if it was executed with the same intentions of having this, like, split storyline?
I probably would, because I am the epitome of curiosity killed the cat, and I just need to see what happens. I think if, like, I would go into the third season a little bit more on edge than I did this season, because going into this season I was so excited to see what they were gonna do, and then it just came away like, oh, that's what you did. I was just like, okay.
What did you do?
But I think going into it with super, super low expectations, and just with the reservation of, like, hey, this is gonna be completely different than the story that you know, I would still watch it. And then I would just have to see what happens. To see if they, like, completely... I think what it comes down to me is, if you screw up the characterization of these characters, and, like, which they have a little bit with some characters already, that's where you really completely lose me. But, like, I'd be watching it because I just need to know what you're doing. So...
I think I probably would pass, just because I feel like I'm walking away from this couple of episodes feeling like my time has not been spent effectively. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't really, I don't want to, you know, I'll hate watch something, but only to the extent that it's a productive thing for me to do. And if I was going to, like, spend the rest of my day, not the rest of my days, but, like, if I was going to come back next season and hate watch this again, I don't think that would be healthy or good for me. Like, so I do think I'd probably pass on a season 3 if it looked like this. But if there is a Six of Crows spinoff in the works, then I'll be planting my flag there. So that is going to do it for us. Thank you for listening to this episode of Live by Moonlight, and thanks for tuning in for all of our Shadow and Bone reviews, which you are welcome to go back and watch if you haven't yet.
Please do, and comment. I genuinely want to know people's, like, if you loved it, please tell us why. I just want to know. I'm happy for people who loved it. If you also didn't like it, tell us why. We'd love to vent with you. And if, you know, I just love the conversation and just hearing other people's thoughts. So please share. Please share.
That's going to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.